Okay, today we're going to be learning about absolute value equations and inequalities. And when we're done with this lesson, you're going to be able to write and solve equations involving absolute value. Time for the warm-up. I want you to pause the video, work the problems, and then in a few minutes come back and check your answers. So the first thing we need to do is use the distributive property and distribute the -6 across the parentheses. -6 times 10 is -60. -6 times a negative x makes a positive 6x. Now we have like terms to combine. Add 60 to both sides and divide both sides by 12. Don't you just love it when we don't have an even answer? Okay, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. Again, we're going to have to use the distributive property. So 2 times 11 is 22. 2 times x is 2x. We're going to combine our x's by subtracting 2x from both sides. Add 4 to both sides. Now divide both sides by 10. So again, we end up with nothing even 13/5. Our key concepts for today: absolute value simply means the distance from 0. We write it between these two slanted lines. And an extraneous solution, so it's a solution derived from an original equation that is not a solution to the original equation. In other words, you'll get a value for x, but when you substitute it back into the original equation, it does not make the equation true. Now, the steps to solve an absolute value equation is, first of all, we're going to isolate the absolute value expression. So if there's anything added to it or multiplied or divided by it, then we need to get rid of that first. Then we're going to write it as two equations, and that means we're going to get rid of the absolute value sign and set it to a positive and a negative, which I'll show you what that means. We will solve each equation, and then we check for extraneous solutions by going in and substituting into the original equation. So let's see what all this means. So we're to solve and check our answers. We have absolute value of 2x minus 1 is equal to 5. So by our steps to solve an absolute value equation, we're going to get rid of the absolute value signs and set it equal to a positive 5 and a negative 5. And we will simply solve for x. We add 1 to both sides and divide both sides by 2. Again, we're going to add 1 to both sides and divide both sides by 2. We get two solutions, 3 and -2. So we're going to check for any extraneous solutions by substituting a 3 in for x in the original. Is the absolute value of 5 equal 5? By golly, it is. Put in a -2 in our original equation. Is the absolute value of -5 equal to 5? Both of those make the equation true, so both of them are solutions to this absolute value equation. This one's a little different because we've got something with the absolute value part, so we need to first of all add 1 to both sides, and then we've got to divide both sides by 3, so that we're starting with a simple absolute value, got it isolated by itself. We're going to set it equal to the positive and the negative. We subtract 2 from both sides, x is 1, or a -5. So we're going to plug it back in and check our solutions. Is 9 minus 1 equal to 8? By golly, both times it is. So both of those are solutions. Now for our last example, we have the absolute value of 3x plus 2 is equal to 4x plus 5. We have to set it equal to the positive and the negative. Notice, it's like multiplying both of those terms by -1. Both of those have to change to a negative. Now we simply solve for x. Here they subtracted 4x from both sides, then divide both sides by -1. And this time we're going to add 4x to both sides and divide both sides by 7. Now we check our solutions. Is the absolute value of -7 a -7? No. How about the absolute value of -1? Is it 1? So in this case, we have an extraneous solution because when we substitute in a -3 in for x, we come up with the solution that does not make that equation true. So this is what's meant by extraneous solution. Very good. You're ready to begin your assignment.